I got a new commission for a book nook this week, but it's not specific to any particular book. It's just about books and fantasy in general. The parameters I was given is that they wanted a book nook with a dragon watching over a hoard of treasure in a library, and that the treasure is books. They also wanted the dragon to be purple. So this is the finished product. I'm pretty happy with it. So I started the project knowing that I could make a ton of foam books and foam bookshelves, but surely there must have been some easier way figured out how to do this by now. So I turned to the world of dollhouses. I use dollhouse accessories a lot when I need banisters for stairs or rugs or tables or candelabras. They're generally cheap, and though they're often the wrong scale for miniature projects, I can make do. But seeing as how the only scale issue here was the dragon, I didn't need the bookshelves to be matched to the height of any miniature figurines. As for the dragon, he came from a Dungeons & Dragons set. I picked him because he was sitting on a hoard of gold, with his arms crossed over the pile, but I got rid of the gold and was going to place him on top of a pile of books. Like I did with the Balrog when I did the Lord of the Rings book nook, I had to clip his wings so that he'd fit inside a narrow space. So I knew that I'd need something up front to block the view of his amputated wings, and I figured that 2 tall bookshelves would do the trick. You'll see me here using a new product, which is old news to like everyone in the hobby, but I finally broke down and bought some, and it has changed my life. It is CA glue applicator. It is that spray that you see me using. CA glue is cyanoacrylate, which is basically super glue, but when you spray it with the activator, it seals instantly and it seals strong. I love the stuff, and though it's probably giving me cancer every time I use it, it's totally changed my hobbying. Anyway, I base coated I trimmed off the wings of the dragon, which wasn't hard, they're just resin wings, so some hobby clippers did the job. Get rid of those wings. Then I base coated the dragon with purple, and then painted him with the Citadel Contrast Paint Magus Purple, and then highlighted him with some Vallejo colors, some pale greens, pale blues, and some grays. I'm not the best painter in the world, but I can make a dragon look good. I had finished his eyes and his teeth and his claws and his little Fu Manchu mustache, and I think that he turned out pretty well. This is the first time that I'm showing this tool on this channel, but it is another thing that has changed my hobby. This is a Proxxon hot wire cutter, which is essentially a table saw for foam. Here I'm making books that will go underneath the dragon to form the base of his hoard. So I'm cutting out long strips, and then I'm going to cut those strips into book-sized shapes. Now, I'm going to paint them in a variety of colors, but I didn't need to worry about this step really. I thought that I would need to have a massive pile of books for him to sit on to imitate his treasure, and then I would cover those with a few detailed books. But it turned out that the kit that I used for this had so many detailed dollhouse books that it wasn't an issue. So I painted the books, some different colors. Easiest way to paint foam is just put it in a bowl and squirt in some paint and mix it all up. So I did that with about 5 different colors of paint. There's some red, did some blue, did some browns, did some tans. So got each bunch of books a different color. But like I said, I didn't really need to do this step, as I learned later. And then it came time to assemble the library. This part of the project went pretty fast, with the little coaxing of some glue and that cyanoacrylate activator. But this part of the kit gave me a false sense of security. It was very easy to put all of this together. You can see me putting together this cabinet, which goes into another cabinet. All of the things are very slot-based, easy to assemble, and I thought, well, this is going to be cake. This is going to be the easiest book nook I've ever done, because all of this just fits together so simply and easily. Little did I know that I was going to spend the next day in back-aching agony trying to get this thing done. There are a few little fiddly bits right here. I'm putting on the handle for that cabinet. I have to say this dollhouse kit was not organized well at all. There were 5 bags, nothing was labeled, and you just had to dig through the bags to find the pieces that you needed, and nothing was in the same bag. There was no bag that was bookshelf A and bookshelf B. It was just find all of the pieces that appear to match according to the instructions, but there are no labels or numbers on anything, so that was stupid. But the whole project went pretty quickly. And like I said, it lulled me into a false sense of security. On to the final bookshelf. This bookshelf is the other one that's going to block the front line of sight. It is kind of a taller one that has some shelves at the bottom of it. Not shelves, I mean some cabinets at the bottom. I'm putting the handles on the cabinets right there. But now it's just time to assemble the bookshelf. Right now putting together the cabinets. Glue it all together. Slot A goes into slot B. Everything works out pretty perfect. So there's the kit. Now here's where the rubber meets the road. This kit came with a ton of amazingly detailed paper book constructions, and that each required to be cut out with an X-Acto knife and to be glued carefully with a glue stick. This part of the project took me a full day from sunup to sundown just making books. I'll spare you the entire day and just show you making a book too. Right now I'm making a book that is a lot of pages of the book that is in book binding, so that it looks like it is a book that can sit folded open as though it is kind of splayed out on a shelf. So you have to fold it up tight and then bind it into some other paper and put it together that way. But there are books that came in cubes that was like a section of encyclopedias all next to each other. There were books that were just a simple cover that you put over a wooden structure to be the pages of the book. And it was just a ton of books and a long time with an X-Acto knife. I went through several blades. Now came the time to put the book nook together, finally. I arranged some of the bookcases where I wanted them to go, but then it was time to build the hoard of books that the dragon was sitting on. So I started to base it with all of those fake books that I'd made out of foam, but I soon realized there were plenty of paper dollhouse books that I could use to make the hoard, and that they would look better anyway. I started gluing the books in place on the other shelves. After I got this dragon sitting pretty on his thing, and I keep fiddling with him as I realize that I have more and more books left to put, but gluing books onto these bookshelves so they look nice. And the nice thing about this set is there's so many details that give it character. It's not just books. There are picture frames, there are glass cases, there are signs, There are individual books, there are books that are open and splayed, there are maps, there are pictures that hang on the wall, and I really love that about this case. So you see me putting the 2 cases that go in front of the dragon to hide his amputated wings, gluing in the large bookshelf here, making sure that everything sits in place where it should go. A lot of it just sits in place, but I wanted it to be glued in place so that nothing gets jostled around during transportation. Making sure it all fits the height. And now for the final assembly. I've got so many extra books here. I'm adding them to every place that I can find to add extra books to piles on top of bookshelves, to the hoard that he is sitting on top of, gluing these bookshelves in place, and then gluing more books into the hoard. I want that hoard to be big and substantial, and to be a good hoard for a dragon to be sitting on top of. The nice thing about a book nook is that even though these bookshelves hide his wings, they also obscure the rest of the book nook, so that you have to really peer inside of it. You get your nose right up to it. You can look through the shelves, you can look over the shelves, but that's the fun of the book nook, is really getting your nose into it and looking at it closely. Looking for all the details in all the corners. And this is the finished product. I'm really thrilled with how it came together, and I'll be delivering this down to the woman who commissioned it later this week. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. Hit the like button if you haven't already, and click subscribe. A lot of my watchers aren't subscribers, so do that. Stay safe, wear your masks, and I will see you next time.